heart of the country, in an ordinary town, in an ordinary street about halfway down, lives an old man who, when not in his bed, spends most of his time locked in a shed. Banging and sawing and screwing things in, his grandson was drawn to the terrible din. "You okay, Grandad? What's with the noise? I hope you're making me some more toys." "Is that you, Ben? What's hiding your face?" "It's a helmet, silly, for going to space." Ben pushed a finger up to the sky. Grandad raised him, shielding his eyes. "Be careful, my boy, the sun is too bright. You should only look up there at night." "And a helmet, you say? Be careful, please. Your gran uses that for draining her peas." "Come inside, I have something you'll like." What was it, thought Ben? A boat or a bike? He looked about for some kind of clue, amongst tins of paint and pots of glue. Rows of chisels and lots of hammers, nuts and bolts and worn-out spanners. And there in a corner, kind of hidden, was something strange covered in linen. "Is that for me?" Ben asked his grandad. "Well, it's too small for me. Of course it's for you, lad." Ben trundled over, all full of wonder, being very impatient to see just what was under. Made from wood, it was mostly square, topped with a cone and as tall as a chair. Grandad had tried to conceal several scratches, splinters, blemishes, and all the worn-out patches. But Ben could still tell, behind all the glaze, his latest toy had seen better days. "I've just got this back nipper. To make it go, just close your eyes and wish it so." Itching like mad to go for a ride, he begged his grandad to take it outside. "Later, son," he patted Ben's head. "There's always tomorrow, but now time for bed." But Ben couldn't sleep. He was out of sorts, his head spinning with wonderful thoughts, all about space and did it have end, enough to drive anyone round the bend. Then Ben decided he could take no more, and quietly opened his bedroom door, and gently tiptoed out of the house, remaining as quiet as the quietest mouse. He dragged the rocket from its home in the shed, while all the others still lay in bed. Then Ben remembered what Grandad had said, "The rocket will do what you think in your head." He counted to 3 and closed his eyes, and felt the rocket start to rise. He left the earth, and pretty soon he'd even passed the silvery moon. Deeper and deeper into space, the rocket went at greater pace, weaving in and out of the stars, like he was playing at dodgem cars. But Ben started feeling a little sad, as he got further from Mum and Dad. But what he saw next lifted his mood. A world made entirely from party food. Without hesitation, Ben landed his rocket to fill up his tummy and maybe a pocket. Chocolate trees were all around that dropped toffee apples to the ground. Rivers flowed, made entirely from honey. And best of all, he didn't need money. There were mountains of cake with streams of custard. But just at that moment, Ben became flustered. Before his eyes, and without announcing, a creature appeared, wobbling and bouncing. Hundreds and thousands made up its hair, and instead of ears, 2 halves of a pear. Its belly was round and almost transparent, dotted with fruit, it became apparent. Losing his nerve, Ben shut the door, to continue his journey in space once more. "Don't run, young man, I'm not that scary. I don't have fangs, and I'm not even hairy. I have 15 eyes and several faces, so as you can guess, I've seen many places. Dozens of stars and black holes aplenty. Planets? Let's see, at least 10 or 20. So can you help me find the edge of space?" "I can try," it said, "but it's a far-away place. There's not much room here in my rocket. When we shut the door, we must always lock it." "Don't worry," it said, "about my big belly. I can jig it about, it's just made of jelly." does this journey take? My mum will be mad if I get home late. Oh, time up here has a different worth. A day in space is an hour on Earth. We'd still better hurry if it's all the same. And may I ask you for your name? Oh, it's full of strange letters and very long. If I wrote it down, you'd still get it wrong. Look, I'm a little fat and my body is yellow, so put it together and call me Fellow. So off went Ben with his new friend to try and find his journey's end. They raced away with all their might, almost touching the speed of light. See that planet where we are bound? Everything there is the wrong way round. Fellow was right. It was just amazing to see sheep dining and people grazing, cows that meowed and cats that mooed, where bad was good and good was rude. People knelt to untie laces and only queued when leaving places. What an odd place, it would send you mad. To leave it, Ben felt rather glad. Look, said Fellow, we're starting to slow. I think we're near the end, you know. Surely enough, the rocket stopped. Fellow stayed put, but out Ben popped. Before them loomed a massive wall, infinitely wide and just as tall. They could see no ceiling and alas no floor, just a single solitary door. Fellow watched on as Ben gave a push and stood there still in a stunned hush. He rubbed his eyes and felt rather tense. What he was seeing just didn't make sense. Yes, said Fellow, it's your granddad's garden. Ben was confused. I beg your pardon? You mean to say from where I departed, we've ended up here, where I started? Ben, what you did was just fine. It's just in space, there's no straight line. Our navigation's not to blame, start and end are all the same. But now you must go back to bed, and I must head back home instead. May I borrow this rocket from you? I'll bring it back in a week or two. Fellow waved, and so did Ben. Each hoped to see his friend again. When all awoke, he told his story, in much detail and all its glory. But halfway through, it would seem, his family thought it just a dream. A very nice story, little Ben. Is it time for breakfast then? His little adventure they did not believe, so he thought it better just to leave. It wasn't just inside my head, I'm off to check my granddad's shed. I've already looked, it's not there. Grandad was right, the shed was bare. You believe me, Grandad, don't you? A tale that tall? Of course I do. I'm sorry that there's nothing here, but Fellow will be back, have no fear. He'll only be a little while, said Grandad with a knowing smile. Oh, it will take longer, and to be fair, an hour down here is a day out there. So just how long will we have to wait for Fellow to come back through that gate? In years? Let's see. 63. At least that's what it took for me. And at that moment Ben suddenly knew his Grandad had been up there too.